1 minute, everyone. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas Semeta, Chair of the Statutory Public Meeting. Before continuing, we will now rise from closed session. May I have the mover read the motion in its entirety? Councillor Kimpson.
Thank you very much, Chair Ameta. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cooper. Recommendation that Council rise from closed session and reconvene in open session at 6:52 p.m.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll ask the clerk to display the vote.
Opening voting. Closing voting. And that carries unanimously.
Thank you. During closed session, discussions occurred with council and staff related to a local board appointment, a potential land acquisition, a litigation update, confidential legal advice, and a sponsorship opportunity. Before we begin, I would like to provide you with a safety notice for those of you with us in the council chambers. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the council chambers using the nearest exit staircase. If you require assistance, please see our clerk staff for further assistance, and I ask that you please gather outside of City Hall in the Farmers Market parking lot and await for further instructions. As a reminder, the City of Cambridge Council meetings are broadcasted on the City of Cambridge YouTube page and archived on the city's website. On that note, we had 376 views on YouTube and 13 delegates during our last statutory public meeting. Please note that we have rules of engagement at council and committee meetings. I ask that you be respectful while others are speaking, refrain from any demonstrations, and I encourage you to actively listen to others. For staff and delegates alike, please be sure that you stand 6 to 8 inches from the microphone at the presenter's podium for optimal sound quality. There is a remote at the podium that you may use to advance your slides. As a note for members of the gallery joining us in the council chambers, public members are not permitted to enter the horseshoe at any point in time during the meeting. If you wish to speak to a council member, you may schedule a meeting through the mayor and council's office by emailing mayor@cambridge.ca or council@cambridge.ca. Alternatively, we welcome you to gain the attention of a council member by motioning to them from the gallery during a break or at the end of the meeting to speak with them further. Our clerk's team will ask any public member who enters the horseshoe to return to the gallery. Clerk staff will inform the indicated council member of your request. And we have one statutory public meeting today under the Ontario Planning Act. It is my pleasure to introduce council. Councillor Hamilton, Mayor Liggett, Councillor Kimpson, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Cooper, Councillor Schwery, Councillor Earnshaw, and Councillor Devine. We embrace our shared responsibility with the First Nations people to take care of this earth and its creatures. We can only do so by walking the path as partners, stewarding this land as we have been given the duty together to live in balance and harmony with all living things. We acknowledge and respect the Anishinaabe, Chinochin, and Haudenosaunee people who came before us and who we live amongst. By honoring this truth of past and present, may we come to true reconciliation through listening, reflecting, and learning. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us in this meeting. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect, that we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council staff and the public, with respect and understanding, and inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. Together we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do, that this is a safe space. Behavior that is disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave. A reminder to members of council that the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act requires members of council to declare any direct or indirect pecuniary interest in relation to a matter under consideration. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest, members of council? Seeing none, we will move forward with our agenda. We have one statutory public meeting under the Ontario Planning Act. I will call upon the applicant to provide an introductory presentation at the beginning of the statutory public meeting. Afterwards, I will call for our pre-registered delegations and then open the floor to any members of our in-person and virtual audience that wish to speak to an item. Members of our virtual audience wishing to speak to an item before us may contact us at clerks@cambridge.ca to receive the Zoom link or text the number 226-218-1184. City staff are on hand to monitor this number and email address during the course of the statutory public meeting. Please note that number is also available on the city website, our agenda, and on the live stream of our meeting located on the City of Cambridge YouTube page. To accommodate everyone or anyone requesting to speak from home, council will take a short 2-minute recess after the public call out to allow for callers. Each delegate who participates virtually or in person will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. I remind members of council and the public that there is no debate of the item at the public meeting. I also remind council that this statutory public meeting item will be before council a second time with a recommendation report, and this process is for public consultation. Council will consider all oral and written comments prior to making a decision on a planning application. If a member of the public would like to be informed of further reports and/or decisions on the matter, we ask that you please fill out your email, name, and contact information by completing the sign-up sheet located at the back of council chambers. This sheet will be used by our planning division to keep you informed of any file changes. Our only statutory public meeting is agenda number 6.1, proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment 1280 Dundas Street South. We will hear from the applicant and then move to pre-registered delegations, followed by anyone else who wishes to speak to this item. We have a presentation from Michael Whitmer from GSP Group. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Chair Armetta. Good evening, members of council and members of the public. My name is Michael Whitmer, and I am a land use planner with GSP Group. We were retained on behalf of Crown Land Holdings to prepare and submit applications for an official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for 1280 Dundas Street South. I am here before you tonight for the statutory public meeting for our official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application for this site. Crown Land Holdings is proposing to develop the property into a 13-story, 88-unit rental apartment building. The site is currently designated in the city's official plan as low/medium density residential. This designation permits single detached dwellings, townhouses, and walk-up apartments to a maximum density of 40 units per hectare. The official plan amendment proposes redesignating the site to high-density residential with a site-specific policy to permit a maximum floor space index of 3.0. The site is currently zoned R2, which permits single detached dwellings. The official plan amendment proposes to rezone the site to RM3, which permits multiple residential uses, including apartments. Site-specific zoning regulations have been requested to permit an 18.6 meter setback from Branchton Road. Both of the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment align with other nearby high-density sites, both east and west along the Dundas Street Arterial Road corridor. The proposed apartment development has 124 parking spaces, which exceeds the minimum requirement. These spaces are situated both at and below grade. Long and short-term bicycle parking will also be provided in the development. Indoor and outdoor amenity spaces will be provided both in the form of active and passive facilities for the residents. The site is well situated directly at the intersection and the corner of two arterial regional roads, Dundas Street South and Branchton Road. This intersection was recently signalized by the region. Significant investment from the city, region, and school boards is currently ongoing in the immediate area, including construction of the city's new recreation complex, as well as the joint public separate school on Wesley Boulevard. The region is also preparing to extend McQueen-Shaver Boulevard, also known as South Boundary Road, within the next 2 years to Dundas Street South, which will further distribute the traffic at Dundas and Branchton. The site is serviced by Grand River Transit Route 50 directly in front of the site, with the 2025 GRT business plan identifying a need for further transit service enhancements adjacent to the site. Several existing parks are also within walking distance of the site, including Santa Maria Park, DeCaro Park, and Moffett Creek Trail. As part of our submission, we prepared a shadow study. The proposed development shadow impact on the surrounding neighborhood is minimal, with negligible impacts on key areas throughout the year. As evidenced by the shadow analysis displayed before you, the new net shadows cast on Dundas Street South sidewalks, Faith Street sidewalks, and Branchton Road sidewalks are limited to specific times in the day throughout the year, with most areas experiencing no shadow impact during peak hours. Notably, public parks and open spaces, as well as the rear yards of low-rise residential properties, are also largely unaffected, with shadow impacts restricted to short periods during the day. Overall, the proposed development will have minimal adverse impacts on the local environment. The next slide shows the shadow studies from June and September, with the previous slide from March. I would now like to review some background studies that were prepared and submitted as part of a complete application. First, a traffic impact study, which concluded that development will have negligible impacts on surrounding road networks, and as I previously indicated, the McQueen-Shaver Boulevard extension and East Boundary Road will relieve the intersection. Noise impact assessment. Noise associated with the proposed development is expected to meet ministry acceptable limits, and the design was done to avoid need for acoustical barriers. A cultural heritage impact assessment was required as 17 Branchton Road to the south is designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. And the cultural heritage impact assessment determined two forms of potential impact that we can address, which are accidental vibration during construction and the development detracting from visual context. Another key study to note is the archaeological site assessment, which proceeded all the way to stage 4. And 6 nations was involved in the site during the stage 4 mitigation. Not listed here, but also completed, was an urban design brief, full architectural drawings, an arborist report and tree inventory, preliminary landscape plans, and a functional servicing and stormwater management report. In conclusion, in our opinion, the site is suitable for high-density residential infill that is context appropriate. In our opinion, the proposed 13-story apartment is compatible with the surrounding context. The development will utilize existing municipal infrastructure. No significant shadow, noise, or traffic impacts will result from the development. The site is proximate to supporting amenities and infrastructure, including parks, schools, and recreation facilities. The development will provide much-needed new rental housing options to this emerging area of the city. And finally, I would like to request and indicate that it is our expectation to ask for additional time beyond the 120-day official plan amendment review period under the Planning Act. This will allow us to thoroughly review comments, implement them into our development proposal, and make a resubmission to the city before a recommendation is presented. And that concludes my presentation before you tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Councillor Devine.
Yes, through the chair. Can you go back to the slide on traffic, please?
It'll be just a minute. We're just doing that.
Oh, you had it there.
This one right here?
No, the one in traffic. You had a comment on traffic.
Traffic study.
Right there, under studies. Okay, now it says the traffic study, a negligible traffic generated has a negligible impact on surrounding road networks. What's negligible?
So through you, Chair Armetta, to Councillor Devine, the traffic engineer that we retain, Paradigm Transportation Solutions, has indicated in their traffic impact study that the existing road network will be able to accommodate the proposed development without any required improvements.
I see. Okay, so that's the definition negligible, is it? That's what you mean by negligible?
That's what I mean by that, yeah. There will be no negative input. The existing road network that surrounds the site is designed to properly accommodate the proposed development and the traffic demands that will be generated by it.
Thank you.
Mayor Jen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm kind of confused. You said it was Crown Land Holdings? Is that what you said?
Through you, Chair, to the Mayor, that is correct. They are the registered owner, but they operate as JC Group.
Okay, so it's JC Group and Crown Line. So who is Platinum Condo Deals?
Through you, Chair, to the Mayor, that is a good question. And that came to our attention tonight, that there is a potential listing for this site. I can assure you that we were unaware of that, and that is not associated with our client. That was a private real estate company that posted that site.
Okay, so it's not being sold as condos. It is, as you said here, proposed rental apartments.
That is correct.
Okay, my next question then, affordable housing components being considered, what does that mean? You either are or you're not, so.
Through the Mayor to the Chair, in discussions with our client, they are open to considering that and discussing with several community groups. We did receive comments from groups such as Six Nations, and they are willing to extend conversations with those groups and offer perhaps a certain number of units or make a payment to the city's affordable housing fund. Those are all items for consideration.
Mr. Chair, can I have a follow-up? So what do you mean Six Nations? Like to do affordable housing for Six Nations?
That is correct. And the comments we received from Six Nations, they, as an impact from development and making the site, urbanizing the site, they did request as compensation to consider offering a certain number of units specifically for Six Nations. And all of these inputs we're willing to consider as we take this application back and bring a revised application forward.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hamilton?
Thank you, Chairman, and through you. And thanks, Michael, for your presentation. I have a couple questions for you. The first one has to do with the traffic study you mentioned that Paradigm did. Was that conducted before or after the completion of the intersection at Brampton and Dundas?
Through you, Chair, I met at Councillor Hamilton. The Paradigm's traffic study was completed before the signalization, if that's what you're referring to, of the intersection. However, their study did indicate that it was on the region's forecast to signalize the intersection.
So has the signalized intersection been included in that report at all, or is it just mentioned, I guess? Or I don't know if that's a staff question for later.
The anticipated, in my review of Paradigm's traffic impact study, the anticipated signalization at the time when they wrote the report was considered.
Okay. Thank you. I do have a few other questions. One would have to be, in terms of the composition of units, there are 1 to 2 bedrooms from my understanding. Is there any way to include bedrooms that might, units that might include 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? If we cite reference to the schools and the libraries nearby, families typically need more bedrooms, I speak from experience. So could there be any consideration to including more units with higher numbers of bedrooms in the facility?
Through you, Chair, I met at Councillor Hamilton. That is certainly something that we can consider in terms of looking at the density and distribution of the units. That's a final detail that can be considered by the client.
Thank you.
Councillor Earnshaw?
Thank you, Chair Armetta, and through you, I'm looking at the same page as Councillor Devine under the heading Heritage, and it is indicated there that there were 2 forms of potential impact from the proposed development. The second one being that it may detract from visual context, and I note from some of the material that's been provided to us from the public that that's a concern. And I'm wondering if you can say whether any attempts were made to mitigate the impact on the visual context, which I understand to be related to the heritage building that's in the background.
Through you, Chair Ahmed, to Councillor Earnshaw, I can confirm that there have been considerations to mitigate the impact in the design that's been completed so far, and we are fully prepared as that extends into detailed design at site plan, such as building material choices and placement of windows, et cetera, to further and continue to keep reviewing that. We did receive comments as well today from the city's heritage planning staff, and they did indicate that they would be willing to continue reviewing that with us during site plan.
Councillor Kimpson?
Thank you very much, and through you, Mr. Chair, thank you for your presentation. On the studies page that we're looking at, I note that there's, under heritage, there's 2 forms of potential impact from proposed development noted. I can't quite make out, but is one of the images at the bottom the completion of a heritage impact study that's been completed? Or I can't see if that's been done or not, it's very small.
And through you, Chair, to the councillor, I can definitely appreciate that. These are just 3 screen grabs of some of the studies that were completed, and the study on the far left, completed by ARA Consultants, was the Heritage Impact Study.
Thank you, may I follow up? Thank you, and when was that completed?
The Cultural Heritage Impact Assessment was finalized this spring. It was initially started a few years ago, and then it was updated as we were ready to submit the application to the city approximately in April 2025.
Thank you.
Mary Jan?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I have the same concerns that Councillor Hamilton just had with regards to the exit onto Highway 8. Both him and I worked really hard with the region to get a stoplight there. And what you would be doing here would be defeat the purpose of the stoplight and would add the problem of accidents and backup of traffic. And so are you looking to close that off then in your development and just exit off onto Branchton Road and then use the stoplight?
If I may, Chair, I'll just go back to the site plan that we can graphically show where that entrance is proposed. So the exit onto Dundas Street South, approximately in the southeast portion of the site, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
So that is currently shown as a secondary access to the site. The primary access is proposed off Branchton Road. The site was designed and confirmed by Paradigm Transportation Solutions that intersection or that driveway access may not be required, and the site can function without it in terms of a fire route. We will be willing to consider removing that site. I do also further note that there is a divide on the site. You can faintly see it where it says Dundas Street South, and there's a line. That's where the MTO's jurisdiction begins and the region's jurisdiction ends. And we are currently working with MTO staff on obtaining a permit and their approval to permit that access, and we will continue to discuss that with MTO staff.
Follow up? But you just said that you're looking at taking it away, but now you're saying you're working with the MTO to have that access. But with that being so, I mean, that's the stoplight's right there, so I don't understand why you would be having an exit onto Highway 8 and bringing back the same problems that we've all had to deal with accidents and the backup of traffic.
Through you, Chair, to the mayor, we are willing to continue to review that both with the region as well as the MTO and whether that access is in fact needed. And if it is determined by the region and the MTO that access can't be supported, the site can function without it, and that has been confirmed with the traffic engineer.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hamilton?
Thank you, Chair Ahmed, and through you. Michael, my question just had to do with the orientation of the parking. So it's 124 spaces. Do you have an approximate, this might be site plan, might come to fruition later when the site plan comes forward. Do you have an approximate number of how many of those spaces are going to be underground? How many will be at ground level? And can you confirm that there will be no parking platform that will elevate the building? So instead of 13 stories, really it's 13 stories plus 2 parking, it's 15. Just want to make sure parking is set and it's not going to boost the height of the building, and we know the orientation of the spaces above and below ground.
Through you, Chair Armetta, to Councillor Hamilton, that's a great question. As I mentioned in my presentation, there is both surface and underground parking proposed. What you see on the site plan before you is the surface parking that we're currently contemplating. The remainder of those spaces of total 124 will be distributed among the 3 levels of underground parking. The grade of the site is as such that part of the site will be slightly elevated, and that is why we've indicated the building is 13 stories, when in fact, from an architectural perspective, the building reads as a 12-story building. So in terms of the building height, we had to request or indicate an additional story, as the ultimate absolute height will be approximately 13 stories.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Jan?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. This is in very close proximity to a major wetlands area. So if you're doing underground parking, have you done the studies, the hydrological studies and that sort of thing? Have you done all of that?
Through you, Chair Armetta, to the Mayor, we are currently in the process of retaining a consultant to prepare a hydrogeological study. That was not indicated by staff as a requirement for a complete application, but to determine the drainage patterns and the water balance of the site. We are currently in the process of bringing a hydrogeological consultant on board to complete that study, and that is partially why we are requesting that additional time beyond the 120 days to properly evaluate the site.
Okay, I appreciate that, thanks.
Councillor Cooper?
Yes, thank you, Chair Armetta. Thanks for the presentation. Just to jump back briefly for a simple question regarding the parking. First of all, I applaud you for bringing parking level that's greater than is actually needed. Thanks for that. But from my own experience, I do understand that some of the issues actually come not from the parking level, but from the visitor parking, which if it isn't adequate enough can make life difficult for residents and also for the residents in the surrounding community as cars are forced on the surrounding streets. So can you just confirm how many of these are going to be visitor?
Through you, Chair, to the councillor, I don't have the exact distribution number. I do have one of my colleagues here with me today, and if it's okay with the Chair, she did assist with the design aspect and the urban design. If I may defer that question to my colleague.
Absolutely.
Yes, you may.
Through you, Chair. Hi, my name is Jessie McClellan, and I'm the urban designer on this project. There will be approximately 20 to 24 parking, like all the at-grade parking will generally be the visitor parking stalls. Everything else below grade, which is 107 parking stalls to be specific, will be for residents.
Okay, just to follow up if I could, that outside space, I mean, that's a great number. Is that's also available to the residents too?
Yes, it can be fluctuant, and that will also depend on how the developer wishes to set that up in the end.
Okay, well, I'm just picturing, I'm being devil's advocate here, I'm just
Yes,
picturing the outdoor spaces where visitors are going to naturally kind of head for. They're taken up by residents for whatever reason, because it will happen. Are they able to go inside?
So
The visitor spots just get taken up.
no, the visitors will be only exterior. They will be closest to the principal entrance for ease of access, and then everything for the residents will be dedicated below the underground parking stall. So there will be no visitor access to the below grade.
Okay, so the residents could potentially take up all those visitor spots.
They will be labeled as visitor, so no, they shouldn't be parking there. And they most likely, again, depending on the building management, will be told to remove their vehicle and park in their permitted spot.
Okay, as long as there's something to enforce that, because
Yes, no, of course.
experience with that issue. Okay, thank you very much.
Problem.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair Mehta, and through you. I just have a question about the amenities. You're going to have indoor and outdoor amenities. Would you be able to speak a little bit more to what that might include?
Through your Chair to Councillor Roberts, again, if I may defer that question to my colleague Jessie, specifically to the design aspect of that.
You may.
Through you, Chair. There will be both indoor and outdoor amenities. The indoor amenities will be primarily on the ground floor that you access off of Branchdon Road. So through the principal entrance, there will be a large amenity room that faces the corner of Branchdon and Dundas. The uses of those amenities have not been programmed at this point, but generally they, gym, party room, et cetera, the standard uses. And then externally, we're really trying to minimize, especially at that corner, amenities just due to noise and mitigating that on our people that would be in this building. So really and truthfully, the amenities will be provided indoors rather than outdoors, especially with access to so many parks and trail network and the new community center across the road. Thank you.
May I ask, sorry.
You may.
May I ask just a follow-up? So, sorry, you mentioned the trail network. So, sorry, I haven't walked down here. Is there sidewalks on both sides, like Branchdon and along Dundas as well?
So through you, Chair, there's actually a multi-use trail that runs right along Dundas, right to the downtown. So it's biking and cycling, sorry, those are the same thing, cycling and walking. And then there is a trail that goes through Moffat Creek Trail. So it goes through the environmentally protected land across the road, not all the way through it, but it generally connects to the new development to the north.
And it runs along Branchdon as well? There's a like a sidewalk or something safe for people?
So for Branchdon, there's a sidewalk on the west side of the street, not on our side of the street, and that's due to grading. They just redid all of that, unfortunately, and it's all a giant swale. So there will be some consideration into safe crossing and providing a crosswalk to address the new intersection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair Mehta, and through you. I'm just looking at the exit of the building onto Branchdon Road, and I'm wondering if, you probably don't have the imagery on hand, but do you know where Myers Road exits onto Branchdon in relation to this entrance and exit to this building? Just because Myers Road can be a challenge at the best of times, especially when Moffat Creek pickup drop-off is occurring, Holy Spirit pickup drop-off is occurring. So I'm just wondering if this is going to create challenges when parents are entering and exiting Myers twice a day to pick up and drop off their kids, and people are trying to exit and enter this building, if that's going to create an issue with traffic.
Through you, Chair, I met to Councillor Hamilton. Yeah, we do apologize that Myers Road was not shown on the concept plan before you, but approximately, if you see the footprint of the church to the south, actually, that's a good point. I'll go back to the first slide. Where the site context, you can pretty well see that. It's almost directly across from the church to the south. So it is fully south of our site.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. I'm looking at Google Maps and there's quite a few trees. Is there any plan for a tree preservation plan or replanting trees? Thank you.
To you, Chair Mehta, there most certainly is, and that was a part of our application, of our complete application. We did submit an arborist report as well as a tree inventory and protection plan, and then our landscape architects prepared a preliminary landscaping plan as well. We did recognize the importance and prominence of this site to the intersection, so our tree compensation and landscape plan did propose a robust tree planting plan right at the base of the building at the intersection.
And thank you for that. I see no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have two pre-registered delegations for this public meeting. Patricia Shuri, welcome Patricia. And you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, council members. Thank you for taking the time to be here today and allowing me to speak at this meeting in regards to obviously the 1280 Dundas Street South, which I will refer to as the subject property. As way of introduction, my name is Patricia Shuri and I live around the corner from the subject property at 8 Shadywood Lane, which is a quiet cul-de-sac literally around the corner off of West Point. So I did submit a letter for those of you to read, so I won't go bullet by bullet. To that, I would just like to express my concerns with this application, a lot of which you have asked questions for, but so sorry if it is somewhat repetitive, but I would like to still express them. So as we know, the applicant is looking to increase their approval from a low to mid-rise density zoning, which was previously proposed to be 5 stories with 65 units, to a high-rise at 13 stories and 88 units. So this creates a higher tower, but only really adds 23 units, which is approximately 3 units per floor. So as much as the GSP group representative stated that this is within the context for the area, I would disagree with that statement. This request is unprecedented in this area of Cambridge and is extremely out of context for our neighborhood. If you drive down Branchdon, you will simply see single-family houses, and along Dundas, mostly are farms. I do acknowledge that these farms will likely turn into developments, as some already have. So across of Dundas, there's obviously developments there. And then across the street from the subject property off Myers, there are townhomes. However, these developments do conform to the context of our neighborhoods, where they are low to mid-rise density and single-family dwellings, such as detached or semi-detached houses or townhomes. They are not high-rises. So furthermore, I don't believe there are a lot of high-rises in the area that this proposed development is in, let alone Galt. So if we are looking to increase our population and help with the housing supply issue, I would propose high-rises to really be more zoned in the downtown Cambridge area, as opposed to our little suburb. So in addition, the proposed development is really not within a lot of walking distances to things like the closest plaza is like the Zayres Plaza down the way, and it's about 15 to 20 minutes walk. So it's not within like a 10-minute walk. And the developer may say, but there are now bus routes because of the developments, then why do you need 124 parking spaces to be able to accommodate these new residents? So finally, as I understand there is an undersupply of housing, I'm not opposed to a development at the subject property. However, the current built form proposed can be achieved through other means and still keep the low to mid-rise density zoning and the community feel of our neighborhood. So what I mean by that is, opposed to building one tall high-rise of 13 stories, other alternatives can be met, such as maybe 2 mid-rise apartments or 1 mid-rise apartment and stacked townhomes. I don't really feel you need to put a 13-story tower to achieve these 88 units that they're trying to develop. On a personal note, I didn't leave working in downtown Toronto, which is the heart of city living, and move out to the suburbs of Cambridge to now live amongst high-rises. So I do feel that this application, although it's only one application, it will set a precedence for further development within the neighborhood and within Dundas Street. So we are fine with like a low to mid-rise zoning, and by we, I mean me and my neighbors that I have spoken to. However, a high-rise is another story, so no pun intended with that one. I did have a couple more concerns, which you all have raised questions today, but again, I will repeat. So the plan for the mature trees, as currently the reports that have been submitted, most of them are to remove the trees and not actually replace them. And I do know that that means that they will be financially replaced through some sort of funding for the trees. The traffic congestion is a very large issue, which you all have asked questions for. So currently, it's stated in the traffic report as negligible impact, which again to the developer is negligible impact to them. But for us, I echo the same concerns as everybody else. I drive out in high traffic, and I'm very thankful for the traffic lights that have been installed there, because it was very dangerous trying to turn left there. And then turning off of Myers or turning off of West Point, there's already congestion at the traffic lights. So I don't really understand how on a two-way or too-wide lane, coming off of Branchdon in traffic areas and going to that traffic light, it's gonna be backed up, which it already is without these this new 88 units. And then obviously with the traffic lights, you turn left onto Branchdon, and if you start turning left onto the access off of Dundas that they had proposed, it's just gonna defeat the whole left-hand turn lane at the traffic lights. I know I'm short on time, so I will just mention that general privacy issues for neighbors with backyards in the area that would be within viewing distance for the high-rise is also a concern of those in the neighborhood. And then shadowing, although deemed minimal by the report, still has bearing to us in the area. And then I did write this down afterwards, but the sidewalks that were noted.
Summarize, yeah.
Sure. So in summary, if the council does choose not to refuse this application, then I would hope that it can be sent back to work on another option, which would keep the low to mid-rise density and avoid a high-rise application for this site. So I do appreciate the opportunity to speak today, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton.
Patricia, thanks very much for your presentation.
Thanks.
Living in the area, my question is about Branchton Road. Do you ever find cars parking on Branchton Road consistently at peak times? Or what is the traffic condition like on Branchton Road between Dundas going down the road?
Sure. So I don't really find a lot of people parking specifically. However, obviously with the school that's right there, I'd say that's a high traffic area when people are picking up and dropping off their kids. I haven't seen much parking on the road specifically.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? I see none. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome. Our next delegate, Erica Beer. Welcome, Erica. And you have 5 minutes.
Thank you for your time. I'm going to compliment what my neighbor has said already. A lot of the points I'm going to go over probably have been covered by her.
Hi, sorry, could you lower the mic closer to you? Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So I'll skip the density. That's been covered. You're looking at a single home going to an 88-unit building. The scale and process, the initial plan was 5 stories, 65 units. It's now 13 stories, 88 units. It's already advertised online by Platinum Condo Deals for pre-sale before approvals have been granted. This is alarming. Environmentally, there's a significant wetlands, and this ties in with the tree preservation, as there are a significant number of birds which inhabit the trees to be removed, and the murmuration of them often occurs. The wetlands don't stop at the road. This project will have an impact. Stormwater and flooding. There's a protected natural stormwater channel behind my location. Has anybody investigated how this will be impacted? Our area already has flooding of the homes during storms. Has this been looked at as a whole or only in terms of the impact it has on the development? Has the blockage of drains that occurred been incorporated into the studies? With the underground parking and little land for absorption, how are the major storms being handled? Is it contingent on the water going into the sewer system? Heritage, there's no way to mitigate placing a structure such as this beside a historic one. Stating that you're complementing the heritage attributes just doesn't make sense. Cutting down the trees and replacing them with shrubs doesn't preserve the character of this heritage site. With a 12-inch retaining wall and 3 levels of underground, to outline a plan if accidental damage were to occur is not protection. 62 of the 77 slated for removal, 14 are dead and 4 in poor. So 44 healthy trees will require removal. All the trees along the south side of the development beside the historical building are slated for removal. This is a major loss of habitat, natural beauty, and noise buffer. So $29,000 apparently compensates for this. Traffic impact. Even if there were remote workers or retired residents, there's still a potential of over 100 cars trying to exit at rush hour. Before the traffic light, with the addition of Faith Street, it was next to impossible to exit on Branchton onto Dundas. We had a major car accident. Will the intersection be able to handle the new volumes? Speeds are still close to 80 kilometers an hour on Dundas Bar area. In review of the design brief, from the urban design brief, thoughtful balance between development and preservation. What is actually being preserved? Not the trees, not the views, or the privacy. The building uses unique topographical to limit the visual impact of the site to the users by making the south building appear if it's only 12 stories high. Whether it's 12 stories or 13 stories, it's still out of scale to the surroundings. Upper balconies provide eye on the streets. I'll now have 12 stories worth of eyes on my property and no privacy. My property value is now greatly reduced. And they're talking about the landscaping. You're removing old growth trees and putting in shrubbery and evergreens. It doesn't go into character for the historic building. In closing, there's a big difference between making a plan fit versus making it actually work. I've experienced work with layout, and when people affected by them are asked to review, they often reject the fit because it doesn't work in reality. Little's Corners is a unique and lovely part of Cambridge, and it would be truly a shame to erode the existing character of the neighborhood with something so out of place. No new development in the area currently appears to be over 2 stories. This will set a dangerous precedent that will encourage developers to further destroy the character of the area for high-density profit. I would just like to show the mock-up I made. It was scaled to the church. So here's the existing view of the neighborhood as we have it now, and this is what it will be like with a 13-story building. That's what we have to look forward to. Thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you. I'm just going to see if we have any questions. Are there any questions, members of council? Seeing none, thank you. I would now call for additional members of the public who would like to speak to item number 6.1, proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment 1280 Dundas Street South. If you are with us in person and wish to speak to this item, please feel free to raise your hand. If you are attending virtually, you may text us at 226-218-1184 or email clerks@cambridge.ca. During the break, our clerk will advise if we receive any more requests to speak virtually. I ask for your patience while we await delegates, and we'll be taking a 3-minute break, so we'll see you back in 3 minutes. Well, welcome back, everyone. We do have more delegations who registered over the break. The first one is Brad Paddock. Welcome, Brad. And you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Chair Armetta, members of council, and general public. I'm doing something I've never done before, and that's speak without being prepared. But I came here this evening because my parents lived on Branston Road for 71 years. They were one of the first properties that built in that area, and I spent the first 25 years of my life on Branston Road. So I've come here with an interest based on that. I want to comment just on a couple of the points that I heard tonight. One of the first ones I want to talk about is traffic. With a new word I learned tonight, which is signaling. With the signaling that's been in place maybe for about a month or 6 weeks, there's a tremendous amount of traffic comes from Hamilton. So when I look at how these guys are going to get onto Dundas Street from the traffic coming from on Highway 8 from Hamilton, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, because even as it is now, in peak periods and off-peak periods, there's a lot of traffic backed up now from the light for people coming from Hamilton. Alternately, people coming down Branston Road. Branston Road it's a raceway for people from Brantford. My parents for years have had problems with traffic and the speed that people come over the top of that hill. Usually there's traffic there that people are coming at 80 kilometers an hour down that road. So I look at that type of congestion, or the congestion point down at the bottom that is Branston Road, Highway 8, and Myers Road, which unfortunately wasn't shown on the drawing. I think that's a concern that we need to look at. I want to talk for a second about compatibility. I don't think the 13-story tower is compatible in a neighborhood. The neighborhood is largely low-rise, 2 stories being the maximum. Compatibility to the Heritage Building and its adjacency to it. It's extremely close to the Heritage Building. Protection for the Heritage Building, if in fact this was approved, and how do we mitigate the excavation of a 3-story parking garage below grade next to a rubble stone foundation of the little school? That's a concern. 2 final things. How does the planting strategy, when they talked about an abundance of trees that will be planted, how do those trees impact viewing windows for traffic? Do we make it worse by adding trees? Right now, you know, it's in sort of a natural state, but I'm wondering what the proposed landscape plan, which I haven't seen, how it will impact daylighting at the intersection for the people coming from Myers Road, people coming down Branston Road, and people turning left coming from Hamilton. And finally, the wetland concern. There are no sewers out there. Many of the places out there are still operating on wells and septic systems. So I'm wondering, where is this water going to go other than across the road and into the wetland? I think that's about it. I'm sorry it was a little disjointed, but.
Thank you, Brad. Are there any questions, members of council? See none, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next delegate, Arpa J. I don't want to pronounce your last name wrong. Welcome, Arpa.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I chose to come and speak from the heart today. I was not prepared. I found out about this meeting yesterday evening. I have had the pleasure of being born and raised in Cambridge on Christopher Drive on the other end of Myers Road, so the area is very familiar to me. I now live on Summerside Crescent, which is just around the corner. I am also blessed to also teach at Moffat Creek Public School, so the area is home to me. I live and breathe it, as do my children. I do want to express thanks for the safety that has been implemented in the neighborhood, with the signaling, with the ramp from California Road to Myers Road now. It has made our neighborhood much more accessible and a much safer place to raise children. My main concern right now, other than a 13-story high-rise peering into our backyards, is the impact of the traffic. I do know that time and time again that's been brought up today, but I truly do want to express how serious 100 cars, now by the sounds of it, coming in and out of Branchton Road is going to cause to the safety of the children in the neighborhood. There are children walking to and from school, much more so now this year than in the past, because we have pushed walk to school. So this is a great concern for us. I appreciate everyone's time tonight. I am speaking from the heart. I do really wish that there would be some serious consideration taking place. I'm open to questions if there are any, but I do want to thank you all.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Harmeet Denson, or Densa.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to just come up here to just touch upon a point that a council member did raise earlier today about, earlier this evening about the parking on Branchton there. While there may not be like consistent parking there, what I have found is during peak hours, especially during school drop-off times and pickup times, because the area in front of Moffat Creek has been now designated a no parking and a no stopping zone, you will see parents kind of parking down the road onto Myers, which does end up kind of getting to where Branchton starts, where the intersection meets. So it does create a high density area, especially around those times, especially during times when children are walking home. Myers also doesn't have any designated crossing points other than the California Road ramp that was built there. So you do see a bunch of children coming down Myers, walking up and down Branchton at all points in time during these hours. And bringing that traffic into the area, I feel, would exponentially increase the danger that children are facing, because you do see them, they are running around, just doing what kids do. And there are no designated crossing areas across Myers, especially on the Branchton side of things. Another issue that I do want to raise is, again, during peak, not even peak hours, you'll see the left turn lane on Branchton backing up past where they are proposing their entrance. Sometimes it does reach back towards the church. Sometimes it does reach back to the intersection of where Myers and Branchton do meet. So now, especially during peak hours when there's parents and everybody is coming in to drop off their children, or our people are going to work or coming home from work, now say there's a left turn person coming off of Dundas onto Branchton to make a left into that area there, very easily you can see traffic backing up onto the Dundas right turn lane. Like, that's the amount of cars that are there. Signaling has definitely made the intersection a lot more safer, but it has also brought a lot more congestion to the area as well. So something as simple as having an entrance off of Branchton, it may seem there is quite a distance between the church entrance and Myers and where this is built, but if you actually walk the land and you actually walk the street, you'll actually see that there is not a lot of space in between what would be proposed. Sorry, I also didn't prepare to speak here tonight, kind of just impromptu getting up here. So my primary concern would be to bring, one, the traffic safety in that area has already been addressed by the signaling, but adding an additional, what would be proposed, over 124 parking spaces, even if all of them are full, say it is to like a 40% capacity, you're looking at well over 40 to 50 cars that are coming into the area. Yeah, that was kind of, just wanted to address the points that were made there before. So thank you for that. Questions, I guess?
Thank you. Are there any questions, members of council? Seeing none, thank you. Our next delegate, Linda Albright Thiel. Welcome, Linda.
I'm very nervous and I wasn't expecting to do this. Good evening, council and Mayor Leggett. I had sent this letter into council earlier, but I feel I would like to read it. I understand development is happening very rapidly in the east end of Cambridge, and to have the right location and one that makes sense is what we need to think about. Not every piece of land is suitable for development, and this piece of land is one of them. This proposed development will drastically change the character of the neighborhood. I believe, more likely, it is about developers' dream for constructing this first tall building in the area. What is the official plan or zoning bylaw for the property at 1280 Dundas? And does it represent appropriate development on this site? I believe it does not and is currently not zoned for this type of proposed development. Why is this property being developed and not one over in South Point section? My first concern is safety. We have been waiting for almost 4 years for some type of traffic control to be put in place at the now 4-way intersection, which has become nothing but a nightmare for all traveling through it, and with this development, it will be adding to it. With the large development of South Point on the north side of Dundas, this has not only created chaos for cars, but there are city buses turning, dump trucks turning, and going straight through to and from Branchton Road. We also have vehicles coming from Brantford, St. George, Branchton, and the surrounding areas that are traveling into Cambridge and heading east to Hamilton area, but also those coming from Myers Road, including several school buses that are heading to and from the 4 schools located along Myers Road. Traffic lights were added to help alleviate some of the issues of safety, and now a proposal of trying to rezone from R2 to RM3 will be hindering the safety steps that were just put in place. There's also a main community mailbox that vehicles and people are stopping at daily to pick up their mail on Branchton Road, which would be right across from that development, a few feet from the actual intersection, causing major safety issue for those walking or cars turning from Dundas onto Branchton Road. Putting a 13-story building on this smaller piece of land will affect the quality of living for those living in this building. No green space, parks, trails are on this side of Dundas. Again, move it to another area. Not only is it limiting green space, but would cause a greater bit of overcrowding in the area, considering all of the development that is already taking place in South Point. Having a total height of 13-story building is excessive and should not be built on this piece of land to respect the neighborhood scale. We need housing that welcomes families, not just density for density's sake, and this congested intersection is not the place. Where will these families go for exercise and enjoyment? They would walk out their door into a congested intersection. The small school that was built in 1868 is designated heritage, and the city was truly fortunate to have the congregation of this church beautifully transition and maintain this building to their place of worship. I believe in 1912, the school was named Little's Corners after Mr. Little that had lived on this piece of now vacant property back in the day. After many years, the house was torn down due to its poor condition. This piece of natural vacant land attributes to the heritage of the once called Little's Corners area and adds to the heritage building at 17 Branchton Road. We need to be concerned about the structural damage that could be caused. 1280 Dundas Street has great vegetation and a considerable number of mature trees that is vital for a healthy environment. You would be destroying something that is now able to absorb pollutants, reduce stormwater runoff, which is a major concern in this area, and remove dust and other airborne particles from our city, and especially at this well-traveled area. It also provides a safe shelter for our many small animals that have currently been displaced by the huge amount of building that has taken place in the area over the past several years and continues to do so. Please keep this piece of land free from any development and leave the property and nature alone. Why are we trying to turn our beautiful city into that of Toronto or Hamilton? You have townhomes partially constructed at 800 Myers Road. That property is zoned RM3, which permits townhouses, and site plan was approved for a stacked townhouse development with a total of 36 units within 9 buildings, each of the 9 buildings containing 4 separate townhouse units. There was an issue with the scale of these townhomes, with prices being reduced quite a bit and mortgages offering.
Summarize, please.
In order to get anyone to purchase. There's still land there with nothing but cement and rocks, making that corner unsightly and has not been utilized. I would like to have each of you keep this in mind when considering this rezoning of this piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions, members of council? I see none. Thank you. A reminder to anyone interested in the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment of 1280 Dundas Street South, you may submit written correspondence on the matter for inclusion in the minutes if you are unable to delegate. And I have received confirmation from staff that there are no further requests to speak. Does council have any further questions for staff? Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Chair Armetta. The applicant mentioned that the extension of the McQueen-Shaver, like the McQueen-Shaver extension, is going to help alleviate some of the traffic. I know this has been a conversation that's been ongoing for some time. Do we have any idea of when that is slated to happen? Do we have any updates from the region at all?
Mr. Bromberg.
We can provide that information via an email over the next couple of days after we reach out to the region.
Thank you, Councillor Kimpson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Question for staff about the request from the applicant about extending the 120-day decision period. Just wondering how something like that works.
Hi, Jacqueline. Thanks.
Hi, thank you. Through you, Chair Armetta. So the Planning Act requires 120 days for an official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, to have a decision from council. If this doesn't happen, there's no real downfall. There's no slap on the hand if we don't make a decision within that 120 days. But it opens up the opportunity for the applicant to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board on a non-decision of their application. So if the applicant is asking for the extension, and in discussions with the applicant who are asking for this extension, it means that they want to work with us and they want to take more time to work with us to prepare another submission that can be circulated out to staff and reviewed and analyzed, and that way we can make an informed decision or an informed recommendation for you to make a decision. At this point in time, there's not enough information. We also had this public meeting tonight where we wanted to hear the public comments and any comments from council that could be incorporated into another submission for them to provide to us.
Thank you. You have a follow-up?
Yes, please. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify, so because the applicant is requesting this and because everyone at this time is going to be working collaboratively, then we are not at risk of the applicant appealing to the municipal or to the land tribunal for non-decision. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's my understanding. That's my hope of this process. And through discussions with the applicant, that is what they are telling me. And if they want to put that on record tonight, that might help. But that's, you know, my understanding, and when we are trying to work together to get to a place where we can work on this application a little bit more. It's not quite ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you, Jacqueline. If a member of council would like to provide staff with direction, please take this time to do so, and we could, if you have any comments, you can make that as well. Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Chair Armetta. Yep, just a couple of comments. So I would like staff to address the lack of sidewalk or multi-use trail that's on this proposed development side of Branston Road, especially given the proximity to the school. I think that it's really important that we have a look at what can be done there. If because of the sort of topography, it's impossible to have a sidewalk or a multi-use trail there, can we include a crosswalk, especially to get kids safely across the road? And especially if we're going to be dependent on some of the surrounding parks and things like that for our outdoor amenity space, because there isn't really going to be any included in this development. I'd also like this applicant to retain as many of those large trees as possible, so to be really careful with their tree management plan. And I also do have sort of a bit of a head scratcher just doing the math from a unit per floor perspective. So I guess the original proposal was 5 stories, which would have been 13 units per floor. And now we're going to a much taller one with 6.7 units per floor, but not increasing the unit sizes. So I'm just not really understanding where those numbers are coming from. Sorry, the original, the pre-consultation package that we saw, not the original application. This is our first time seeing this application, so I'm just not really understanding why the building is getting so much taller and we're not getting a lot more units. So if we can get a little clarification on that in our next time we see you folks, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Yes, thank you, Chair Matter. This is just a little comment I have regarding something that was stated earlier by Michael, I believe. They stated that there was discussions regarding preserving homes specifically for Six Nations. I do have concerns with this. These developments, as much as any others, they need to be available to everybody. I very much have concerns with any group, nothing against Six Nations, any group based on culture, skin color, nationality, anyone given special treatment. When you do that, you inherently discriminate against everybody else. If this came forward with that kind of situation being set up, I would have a very difficult time supporting it. This needs to be for everybody. Thank you.
Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair Mehta, and through you. I just want to thank all the delegates for coming out tonight. It's good to see some of you again. It's been a while, but we appreciate your time. I want to stress again that there's no official vote tonight, so there's no final decision. This is to intake public feedback, council feedback, and hopefully work with the developer to come up with a solution that's synchronous, that works with both the goals of the developer and also the neighborhood. This is certainly a long-standing historical neighborhood, as the Heritage School indicates, and it's an area that's being confronted with immense change, as we can see with the new schools, the rec complex, South Point development. This area, if it isn't already, it will be bigger than Preston in a few short years. So the changes we're being confronted with are fairly immense, and the goal is to try and make whatever comes forward with this building, those changes should be as synchronous with your neighborhoods as we possibly can, all things considered. I am concerned about the traffic, just because for years I've battled that intersection at Dundas and Branchton and Highway 8. It is a very unique confluence or combination of a provincial highway and 2 regional roads that intersect at a very strange angle, and now we have another street there with South Point. So I'm glad to see that we have an intersection there now. Finally, we have lights, but I would like to see some type of a traffic study or a little bit more evidence with those lights in. What happens with traffic? When there's a red light, for example, traffic backs up Branchton. We're seeing that already there are some challenges. So can people turn left off of Myers onto Branchton if there's a red light at Dundas during rush hour? And what's going to happen with kids walking down the other side of the road? What's going to happen with parking? So traffic is certainly an issue in this area, because from all indication, as I think staff have hinted at in the past, and as delegates intimated tonight, this is an area that will likely grow in the future, right? What used to be a cornfield in 20 years, it might be another South Point. That's just the way that the growth of the city seems to be trending, especially with the potential McQueen-Shaver bypass going in just to the south. So traffic is an issue. I'd also like the developer, if possible, to look at the unit form, the number of bedrooms. If we talk about a development being suitable for families, it's very tough to have a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment with a family that's larger than 2 or 3 people. It's an immense challenge. So if that could be incorporated, I think that would be beneficial, because if we're going to cite how great it is to be close to schools, we need to make sure that those units are amenable to families that can send their kids to school, that there's the space, if possible. I am concerned as well about when those I won't go on in my laundry list, but when traffic backs up on Branchton, will cars just take a right and cut through this parking lot to get to Dundas during rush hour as a shortcut? I don't know if that is a risk. I don't know if that's been considered in the reports, but we see people doing that already, right? The quickest journey between 2 places is just the straight line to cut across. Don't even go to the intersection, just cut through the parking lot of the development. So if there's something put in place to prevent that from happening, I think that'd be beneficial. But if, to sum up, I mean, this is a changing area and we do need more homes. So I'm really hopeful the developer will listen to the delegations that came out tonight and create a bit of, again, a synchronous development that incorporates everyone's concerns and is something we know the area and the city needs, which is more homes for people and families to live in. Thank you.
Councillor Kempson.
Thank you very much, Chair Ameta, and thank you to everyone who delegated tonight and came out, whether you had planned to or not. It is great to hear from the residents. I'd like to ask the applicant to take into consideration some of the concerns that were raised by the nearby residents and members of council, and give some thought as to this space, whether or not the application as proposed is the best plan moving forward. And I think there have been many specific items brought up by other members of council as far as looking at sidewalks and trails and updating the traffic study so that it actually takes into account what is there now, because obviously the addition of the light, it's a very significant change. It affects not only the way traffic flows, but the patterns, and that's something where certainly having that updated information is helpful. So again, I'd like to thank everyone and hope that we can all work together to come up with something that's going to fit nicely into the community.
Mayor Jan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question to staff. A comment was made tonight about the stormwater and the sewage. Could you please explain to us where the stormwater is going to be going from this site and the sewage? Thank you.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Jacqueline, you're up.
Through the chair, we will look at that and provide some follow-up information. I'm certainly not an engineer, so I haven't gone through the engineering reports in great detail, but our engineering staff have reviewed engineering reports, so I can get back to you on that either through email or through the recommendation report, or both.
Thank you. Are there any other further comments or any direction? Well, I don't see any. I'll just want to thank everyone for speaking tonight. And I would like the applicant to take into consideration a lot of the concerns that were raised. It would be great to lower the density as well as the height of the building. And there is opportunity on the site maybe for a wider building, if that means lowering the height. And it would be nice to have a larger buffer as well between the site and the surrounding properties, so that maybe we can keep more trees along the buffer. So those would be my comments. And I now declare this public meeting closed. We will now move on to receive. Could I have the mover read the motion? Councillor Devine.
Oh, Jesus. Where is it? Let me find it first. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor, I'm sorry. That all presentations and correspondence from the September 9th, 2025 Planning Statutory Public Meeting Committee be received.
Thank you, Councillor.
Seconded by Councillor Inshaw.
We'll call the vote.
Opening voting. Closing voting. And that carries unanimously.
Thank you. We have now reached the end of our meeting. Could I have the mover read the motion? Councillor Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Chair Meta. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Recommendation that the Planning Statutory Public Meeting Committee does now adjourn at 8:12 p.m.
Thank you. We will call the question. Call the vote.
Opening voting. Closing voting. And that carries unanimously.
Thank you to everyone for taking your time to contribute your thoughts during our meeting, and we will now be moving to the special council meeting in a few minutes. Thank you.